What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy FarRock22, aka Infamous Owen, Infamous _ on IG. Right now, this is a different video. This is a video about jobs. Some of my best jobs.
Get outside.
Yes. Some of my best jobs, worst jobs, fun jobs. So right now, we're at my current job. Those that don't know, I work in a funeral home. So right now, I'm playing parking lot attendee. You know what I'm saying? This is not my funnest job, to be honest with you. But this is the job where I can have more opportunities to make more money. Meaning that this is one of the only jobs that I have where you can actually make commission. So how I make my commission? You know, I do house removals, meaning I go to your house, pick up the dead body. I can dress a body. You know, make a hospital run. There's all kinds of ways I can make money in this business. So I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and pallbearing. That's how I started off. So a lot of people wonder, how can you work in a funeral home? I started as a pallbearer in like 2004, 2005. And the first thing that I was taught was, it's not the dead that you got to worry about, it's the living. So with that being said, we're going to talk about one of my funnest jobs, which was at a clothing store back in the days, Manhattan. And I'm sure some of you know the brand Abercrombie & Fitch. Now, Abercrombie & Fitch, I'm not going to lie, that was probably one of the funnest jobs I had. You know, I had fun at a lot of jobs that I worked at. Hospitals, that's the job that I spent the most time at. Supermarkets, you know, but Abercrombie was a different story, and I'm gonna explain. I'm stopping and going on this thing because I'm working at the time, so there's gonna be a lot of cuts and stuff. But anyway, so it's a very interesting job because it was like a 24, not even 24-hour party, but your shift was like a party, straight up, you know. And Abercrombie & Fitch, and I worked at the Abercrombie & Fitch on South Street Seaport. So that was the original flagship store. That was the original flagship store from like the 90s into the mid 2000s to about like 2006 or 7. That's when the new flagship store was on 5th Avenue. I ended up working there too. So I say this, right? Abercrombie is a very Caucasian company. You know, the attitude, the style, you know, just the wave. But it's not a bad wave. You know what I'm saying? It's actually fun. It's a different type of culture in there. So I'm not gonna lie, like when I first applied for the job, I didn't get it. You know, my homeboy tried to put me on, and he was telling me about, you know, the fun they have and the parties and things like that. I was very interested, so I'm like, yo, put me on. So I ended up getting a group interview, but the problem is I didn't have the white attitude. I mean, the right attitude. Get what I mean? So I ended up losing that interview one time. So, and that was probably like September. So I ended up coming back in February when I ended up getting suspended from Stop and Shop. So yeah, I got suspended from the supermarket I used to work at, which was Stop and Shop back in the days. This was, I'll give you a timeline. This was like, I believe February 2005. So when I got suspended from Stop and Shop, right? I was at like my last straw with that place. So right away, you know what I'm saying? Because I came in late, this little old lady looking like somebody from the Golden Girls. She spotted me out, pointed me out. They, you know, called me in the office, said, okay, we're gonna have to suspend you because you was being a little late. All right, whatever. Walked out of there, I was a little furious. I said, I ain't coming back to this place. I said that to myself. So right away, I went to Manhattan and did a group interview with Abercrombie. Funny thing is, right, at this time I was going to Plaza College. That was in Jackson Heights. You know, it was like I was going for accounting. But anyway, so while I was in school, they called me back that same day for a second interview. So yeah, I got called that same day for a second interview. Told me to come in and did a little one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? I had the right attitude this time. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up getting the job. So my homeboy, he said, yo, the easiest way to get in is to apply for stock. You know, don't try to work on the floor, none of that. Just apply for stock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I applied for the stock room because, of course, at this time, right, I think Abercrombie was paying $9 or $10 an hour. So you gotta understand, in 2005, that was decent money for a part-time worker. And yo, as soon as I got up in there, you know what I'm saying, went to the back, and working in the stock room was very, very fun. I met a lot of good people in there, believe it or not. Even though I'm sure the people that worked on the floor had some fun too, because that floor was crazy. It was like a dance floor. It was like a straight party. And you gotta understand, with the flagship stores, you got a lot of out-of-towners that come through. Like mainly a lot of people from like England, Germany. A lot of those people would come in there. So, you had a lot of tourists. That was the big store at the time. 2 floors, crazy. So I ain't gonna lie, man. When we worked in the back, we was allowed to play our own music. Like every other day you would have a worker bring in a CD to play on the sound system in the back. So, it was just like that. And I'm not gonna lie, right? Working at Abercrombie & Fitch at that time, especially in the stock room, was like working in Washington Heights. A lot of Dominicans. I'm telling you, a lot of Dominicans. I learned that culture. I even learned some of the language working with these guys and girls. A lot of girls worked in the stock room. And I'm not gonna lie, what we did basically all day, we took the shipments, unboxed them, folded them, tagged them. So now you can imagine, for a flagship store, our job was to fold clothes and make sure they're ready for the shelf. Now, that's what you're doing all day. Folding clothes, talking. Folding clothes, talking. But we having a good time. Jokes. Hold on. Yeah, it started raining out here. So, like I said, we had jokes, just good conversations, debates, all of that. And it was a great time. A lot of us were fairly young, teens into the mid-20s. So, we had some good times in that store. But let me tell you, right? During the hiring process, and when I got hired, they was talking about, the rules and regulations of that job. And I don't know if it changed now, but back in the days, they made it clear, right, about the dress code. And they said, in Abercrombie & Fitch, we do not make the color black. That was like kind of like a little red flag to me, like, I don't have black? They said no. But our sister store, brother store, Hollister, they make black. But Abercrombie & Fitch does not make black. And if you look at the time that Abercrombie was built, or when it started, it was like not too long after slavery ended, or not too long before it ended. Not saying anything, I'm just saying. So they didn't make the color black. Another thing I didn't like about that is that you had to shave your facial hair. They don't want no facial hair at that job. None. So you got to understand, at that time, I was like, what, 19, 20? So I had a mustache. You know what I'm saying? I had little sideburns. I ain't had this beard and all of that. But I think that was still too, like extreme, for me to cut my mustache. But I was still young at the time. And you had people my age that didn't even have a mustache. So it wasn't really a problem. But I had to tell my barber, like, yo, make sure you make my sideburns long and make my mustache really thin. Because I needed some hair there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be out here walking these streets looking all crazy after work. And the dress code, you had to, at that time, they provided you with clothes, but you didn't have to wear them. You just had to wear the style. See, at that time, I didn't really care for Abercrombie & Fitch. Now, the style that they have is very fashionable now. Everybody tight now and fitted now. But back then, we were still rocking baggy clothes. So, for me, that was like, nah, that ain't my style. Yeah. So, I thought that was a little crazy, cutting off all my facial hair and stuff like that. But, hey, it is what it is. New job, new people. Let's have some fun. So, yeah, like I was saying, a lot of times, back in those days, 2005, people were still wearing baggy clothes. Now, Abercrombie would work for a lot of people. But back then, we were still in the baggy era. So, I did wear some of the clothes, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the clothes. Because you know what's crazy about it? Sometimes when I did put on a uniform, or let's say if I went to work in a uniform, I would get a lot of compliments on the train, outside of work, it just didn't feel right because everything was just fitted at the time. So I felt tight. You know what I'm saying? So now, back to the company itself. So when I started working there, like I said, everything was fun. You have a mixture of multicultural people, a lot of white people, a lot of black people, a lot of Spanish people. It was just one big party, one big happy party, and it was a lot of girls there. I'm talking about a lot of girls. I had a new crush like every week. You know, that store probably had like 300 workers, and every time I went to work, I seen somebody new. Every time I went to work, I seen a new face. No, like straight up. So it was that kind of thing. So it was a lot of girls, a lot of stuff going on in there, you know. Of course, you know what I'm saying, you had your bud smokers, you know, you had that crowd and stuff like that. I used to make money at Abercrombie too. So now the point of this video is, right, because Abercrombie was a fun company, but it was also a funny company. And when I say this, right, you know, I don't want to say racist, but it gave racist vibes. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you had a lot of color folks working in there, so they can't sit there and say that they only hire white people. You know, I think it was more colored folks working in there than white people. So, but in the back though, you know, on the floor, you know, you had a lot of mixed, you had a lot of white people, and you had a few black people, but some of those black people had a different attitude, if you get what I mean. So, anyway, but there's a lot of things that happen at Abercrombie where I thought like,
everything's good.
1 second. Yeah, I'm still at work, so they're gonna be calling me. So anyway, so what I was saying is that sometimes this store gave me a couple of racist vibes, but not like real crazy, you know, just like real subtle stuff. But anyway, so like I said, I worked at the South Street Seaport, and I worked at Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue opened up later on. I had my most fun at Fifth Avenue. I tell you, like we had a blast working in that store, but also we had some sad times working in there too, because one of our co-workers, he got murdered. There was an Abercrombie party that happened in Brooklyn around 2005. And I don't want to go into too much details because I don't know what the case is or anything like that. But one of our co-workers got killed. You know, it was crazy, man. You know, he was a good dude too. Yeah, right there in Bed-Stuy, man. You know, and it's crazy because the girl that threw the party, I told her, don't throw that party in that neighborhood at that time. 2005, it was the Red Sty at the time. So, you know, and the dudes that I knew, they came from the Crip culture, you know what I'm saying? And if they wasn't Crips, they came from that culture, you know what I'm saying? So, and apparently, I don't know, man. It was all kinds of things in the papers that said somebody couldn't get in. I think it was probably gang related, if you ask me. I think that's the origin of it. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. But it was a crazy thing. So, anyway, so back working in Abercrombie Fitch, especially when I went to the Fifth Avenue store, that's when I started noticing the funny shit. Excuse my French. So, I remember one time, right, because I resigned from Abercrombie and Fitch because the hours was getting very low. And then one time, what happened? I went back temporarily for the holiday. You know what I'm saying? This is like a real quick story, right? So after I resigned in like 2006, or quit in 2006 because the hours was getting real low and stuff like that, I went back. Yeah, matter of fact, it was 2006. The hours didn't even get low, man. The hours was getting low because the new store was opening up on Fifth Avenue. It was a long time ago, you know, crazy thing. So anyway, so what happened was they started sending everybody from South Street Seaport to Fifth Avenue to work. So, next thing you know, it was cool, you know, because it was a new store. I didn't like the feel because, you know, you coming out one environment to another, but you get used to it real quick. It was a much bigger store. I thought South Street Seaport was big. Fifth Avenue was like 5 floors. You know, they had 2 stock rooms, a male stock room and a women's stock room. You know, so, and, you know, we came over there and just started rearranging things, you know, training some of the workers, things like that. So, there was one time when I came over there, And we still followed the same rules from the original flagship into the new store, which was you don't have to wear the Abercrombie clothes, but dress the style. And that's what I used to do. I used to wear my polo shirts, my lacrosse shirts, things like that. So one time I got there, right? And there was this manager there. I wish I knew his name because I would put him on blast because this dude was a brown nosing Uncle Tom, all kind of words where it is like, you know what I'm saying? He was black, but he wasn't black. He wasn't one of us. So, you know, I remember we was working in there one time, right? And I'm gonna put my man out here. He ain't even my man like that, but it was a dude that I worked with for like 2 days. His name was Terrell. Terrell was a cool dude. I hope you see this, Terrell, and reach out to me. Terrell was from Bed-Stuy, right? You know what I'm saying? Terrell was a little short dude from Bed-Stuy. Real Brooklyn cat. You know what I'm saying? Real Brooklyn cat. You know what I mean? Talk like Brooklyn, walk like Brooklyn, act like Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Me and him clicked the first day I got there. You know, they put him to work with me. Since I was more experienced, I showed him how to, you know, fold the clothes and stack everything right so he ain't got to train or learn from these people. So me and Terrell was working together like the whole day. So, you know, we working with a couple of girls and things like that. So, you know me, if you know me, man, I talk, you know. So I remember we was talking to some shorties or whatever, me and him. We was kicking it with some shorties or whatever. And you know, we was talking real nasty to these girls. Or I was talking nasty. And at this time, you know what I'm saying, all that raunchy talk wasn't fashionable like it is now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you talk about eating and doing all kind of things. They was a little open. So we had a good discussion. We had real fun. And then this brown nosing manager, he's trying to get the attention of them same girls that I'm kicking it with. So he tries to come off and show off his tattoos and, you know, try to talk that talk. They wasn't feeling it. So of course, that just causes natural hate. So this dude was like, yo, y'all talking too much, y'all doing too much. You and him gotta go work over there and clean these shelves off and do whatever. That may seem like a lot to these people, but I'm experienced. Come on, Terrell, let's go knock this work out real quick. Me and Rel go to the other side of the stockroom, knock the work off. You know, we working, but guess what? The shorties is following us. They coming to where we at. You know what I'm saying? So that infuriated that guy. So, long story short, you know what I'm saying? When it was all said and done, he kept asking me, oh, what time do you go home? See, when we was at South Street Seaport, no lying. We had unlimited hours. I'm talking about you could come in at 8 o'clock and you don't have to leave until 8 o'clock if you didn't want to, because as long as there was work to do, they say do it. If you could find work, work. And that's how it was in that store. Like, if you had time, you could work your ass off. You could work 12 hours a day if you wanted to. So we took that same attitude to Fifth Avenue. So he keep asking me, what time you leaving? What time you leaving? I'm like, yo, I leave at 8 o'clock. What time did you come in? 8 o'clock. How is that possible? You only supposed to get 4 hours as a part-time. I don't work here, bro. I was sent here. Oh, man. Well, what about your dress code? Why you dressed like that? You're supposed to be wearing the uniform, the Abercrombie stuff. Did we not give you a uniform? Yo, my man, as long as we're working in the stock room and we're not on the floor, we don't have to dress like that where I'm at. Oh, yeah, but you're not at South Street Seaport. Yeah, but I work for the company and that's it. So he didn't like that. So anyway, this guy kept busting my balls. Pause. So when it was all said and done, at the end of that day, he said, listen, we're going to call you back. Don't come back here. We'll call you and let you know when we're ready to work. So I was a little like, what? And I ain't gonna lie. I went to some of the old managers that was working at the previous store because a lot of them knew me. But you know what, with these managers is that rules are rules. So they're not gonna go off of a worker. They're gonna say, hey, listen, my supervisor said otherwise, or one of my managers says otherwise, so we have to suspend you, or, you know, just don't come back to the store. So I was a little tight because one of the managers, his name was Bob. You know what I mean? Anybody could be named Bob. His name was Bob. I thought he was cool. You know, I thought we understood each other, but he's like, nah, listen, you know, he tried to make it seem like, you know, calm down. Yeah, I'm back inside right now. Took a little break from the parking lot. Yeah, funeral home stuff. See the casket behind me. But yeah, so back to it, because this is probably going to be a 2-part video. So anyway, So Bob is basically like, yo, chill out. Let's get it under control. Don't worry, I'm gonna try to look out for you and get you back in here as soon as possible. And I'm like, yo, I cannot wait. Christmas is around the corner because this was the last check before Christmas. So I'm trying to get all that money up. At the time I got a girlfriend, all kind of stuff. You got to get her stuff. Got to get my mom stuff. I'm trying to get this money up before Christmas. So, it was crazy. So anyway, I ended up not coming back to that store. But before that happened, right? Let me tell you one of the little racist parts of this story that made me be like, wow. I seen a whole lot of funny things in that store, from the fact that they don't make the color black and they won't allow you to wear the color black, which is funny. But I never forget, right? When I was working with Rel was working in that store a few months before I got there. So Terrell was telling me about how the company's racist. I'm like, how? I could believe that, but what happened? He goes, yo, when the big bosses come, right? When the big bosses come and visit the store, they don't allow black people to work on the floor. I'm like, Rel, you sound crazy. He's like, I'm serious, God. They don't let black people on the floor when the people from the company come, from the big bosses from the office come. They don't let black people work on the floor. So I'm like, yo, that sounds crazy, bro. So I think probably about a few weeks had passed by, and when I was working at Fifth Avenue, I was working on the floor sometimes too. So I had a post on the floor. I think I was working like in the men's section or the women's section, one of them sections I was working in. So anyway, I had to take a break. So when I came back from break, the break was like maybe like 30 minutes. So I came back from break and I see somebody standing in my post. So I'm like, hey, I'm back. You know what I'm saying? You can go now. And the kid, he was a white kid. You know what I'm saying? He's like, dude, I think you need to go talk to Ashley, man, because they put me here. So I'm like, Ashley was one of the managers or whatever, or supervisors at the time. So I'm like, all right, let me go holler at Ashley. I'm like, hey, Ashley, what's going on? I see you put somebody in my post. Where you want me at? She goes, oh, listen, I need you upstairs in the women's stock room, and just talk to such and such, and they're gonna tell you what to do. So I'm like, all right, cool. So when I get upstairs to that stock room, that room was pretty dark in there. It was pretty dark in there. And the first person I noticed folding a shirt or folding clothes was Rel. I look at Rel. Rel gives me this look like I told you so. Like, I told you, because I started seeing suits walking around, people from that don't work there. They're not part of the staff. They from a higher position. So I start seeing them walking around. I'm like, nah. He's like, yo, I told you, bro. I told you the store give it up like that, man. And I ain't gonna lie, I was a little funny about that. I was really funny about that. And that wasn't the only time that has happened there. So it wasn't long after I resigned from that job, quit, whatever you want to call it. I kind of quit that job. But I came back in 2006, December 2006, for a temp job, because I ain't gonna lie, at that time I didn't have a job, and I knew that was the only place that I know that can hire you like that. It wasn't hard getting a job at Abercrombie. I don't know what it's like now, but any Tom, Dick, and Harry could go to that store and go get a job, as long as you have the right attitude. So at that time, I'm like, yo, I need a job. I know a place where I can get one. And they hired me right at Fifth Avenue. Temporary stuff. Wasn't too crazy. I ain't see that brown nosing dude. And the only reason why I didn't stay there, because like I said, that company didn't really sit too good with my soul. So, it was a little temp job, and I just left it alone after that. But I don't think it's going to be a part 2 of this. Maybe there might be. But like I said, man, I had some great times in that store. That was probably the funnest job I had. Like, I had a lot of fun working in that store, and maybe because I was just young, maybe would I have fun now working there doing the same thing? I don't know. I don't like crowds. I don't like partying, and I like to just be around the people that I'm used to. But at that time, man, I would recommend, I don't know what it's like now, but I would tell anybody, man, if you're like 18, 19, 20, go get a job there, man. Go get you some nice clothes on discount, because I'm not going to lie, Abercrombie did have some nice clothes. They did make some fire colors. I had some nice polos from Abercrombie and Fitch, and I had a few pairs of jeans, as a matter of fact. So, you know, and you got it 30% off. So, you know, there was a lot of stuff that, you know, I did in that store. A lot of people I met some cool cats in that store, man. Met some interesting people in that store. So, you know, I say this, man. It was a job. I got paid every 2 weeks there. Made decent money at that time. I was like I said, 19, 20 years old. So you get paid every 2 weeks and you pull in like $400 or $500 a check. That's good money at that time, you know. And on top of that, you know, I'm hustling. So, and I'm hustling in there. See, that's the thing when you deal with a different environment. A lot of those people came from uptown in Brooklyn. So I ain't gonna front. Back in the days when I used to, you know, hustle my butt or whatever, you know, let's say if I had some brown, them people up there would think it was black. Because it had a nice little smell to it. But, you know, to us in Queens, you know, that's some brown. But to them, they thought it was black. And I used to buy my Knicks for dimes. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because I'm like, yo, how y'all be uptown, but y'all not tired of the haze and all that? They tired of that. They was tired of that haze up there. So I always used to bring some good stuff around, you know what I'm saying? I used to make a lot of money in that store. Had a good time. Used to smoke in the back of J&R Records over there in downtown Broadway and all of that. Working downtown Manhattan. It was cool, man. So, but like I said, I had some experiences there. Didn't make the most money, but I made some good money there. And like I said, I had the best times there. So it's probably whack now, but I would say if you young, you know, you ain't got really much of a career there, check it out, man. You might have some fun. Don't go for me, you know what I'm saying? Because I thought it was a little racist, but you know, besides that, they hired a lot of black people, so I can't say they're racist, but they just gave some racist vibes. That's all. But overall, I recommend it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to end this video for now. I might come back with a part 2. And yo, Larry, I did this for you, man, because you know you kept saying, yo, you got to make that video. You got to make that video. I did this for you, bro. So, yo, y'all be safe out there, and y'all have a good day. Peace.